Greetings, friends. Welcome to the beginning of this week's devotionals. We start with Psalm 75. Hard to imagine that we're halfway through the Psalms. There's 150 of them, and didn't know how long I'd be doing this, but here we are at the halfway point. We give thanks to you, O God. We give thanks. Your name is near. People tell of your wondrous deeds. At the set time that I appoint, I will judge with equity when the earth totters with all its inhabitants. It is I who keep its pillars steady. I say to the boastful, do not boast, and to the wicked, do not lift up your horn. Do not lift up your horn on high, or speak with an insolent neck. For not from the east or from the west, and not from the wilderness comes lifting up, but it is God who executes judgment, putting down one and lifting up another. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup with foaming wine, well mixed. He will pour a draught from it, and all the wicked of the earth shall drain it down to the dregs. But I will rejoice forever. I will sing praise to the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked I will cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted. So, kind of an interesting psalm, a mix of praise and thanksgiving, as well as God pronouncing judgment on the wicked, or those who speak with an insolent neck, whatever that might mean. We find often in the Old Testament, sometimes in the New Testament as well, phrases that just don't quite make sense to us because they're several thousand years old, but that's one of them that kind of stood out. Nevertheless, an interesting psalm, but not one that's unusual for us and that we've come across before. That combination of praise that is due to God's name and the crying out for God to judge the wicked. And that is obviously an issue that the people of Israel had and dealt with a great deal throughout their history, especially in ancient times. They were a people that were pursued and oppressed and attacked on a regular basis by just different tribes and nations that existed in and around where they were. That was kind of just the nature of how the world was at that time. Our world has become so much more complex than that, that we don't fear the wicked. We don't fear the attacks of the wicked. We don't fear the people who reject God or deny God or speak with insolent necks. That's not something that is typically a part of our life. That we do have, there can be people in our life that are antagonistic or critical of us or detrimental to us or cause us a great deal of anxiety. But what I appreciate about this is just the appeal to God and His goodness, His righteousness, His justice, and the fact that the people of Israel could cry out to God for whatever reason, whatever it was that was troubling them, whatever it was that was bothering them, whatever it was that their need was, and the trust that God would hear them. That's the second line of the first verse that we give thanks. Your name is near. Giving that sense that God is hearing and listening to them and willing to do that. So many of the ancient gods, in fact, all of them, the small lowercase g gods that aren't really gods, people never really knew if they were near or not, which is why they worship so many different gods and not just this one God. But even in the absence of, seeming absence of God's presence in our life, trust to know that He is near is something that we can cling to, and that can lead us or give us the opportunities to go before Him with whatever problems we're dealing with, whether they're financial problems, health issues, relationship problems, loneliness, grief, depression, fear, whatever it might be, making a decision, that God is always going to be near to us. And that is an amazing thing to realize, that God, as powerful as God is, as wise as God is, God knowing the hairs on every one of our heads, but yet one voice out of billions that speaks to God in prayer, and God is there listening. It's beyond our understanding to think about that. I have a hard time listening to more than one person at a time. Can you imagine millions, if not billions, of people speaking to God at once, but yet there He is, hearing and answering and listening to those prayers? It is something that certainly can lead to a sense of comfort in our lives with whatever it is that we're dealing with. knowing that the God is in control of everything, hears our prayers, and can be in control of those things. But also that we are that valuable to God, that we are that precious, and that anytime we speak, He is always willing to listen to us, regardless of what it is that we're requesting, or even if it's just simply giving Him praise, which is something that we should do often because of who God is. He is worthy of that praise for us. So speak to God, talk to God, wrestle with God, whatever it is that is on your heart and whatever circumstances you're facing. Know that God is there, and regardless of what you do, His love for you is never ending, and His presence is always very near. That's our devotion for today. Until tomorrow in Psalm 76, I pray that you are all well.